Hey everybody, I'm Andy Wike.
I'm Alan Britt.
I'm Steve Mawby.
I'm Shane Ireland.
And yeah, so we're back at it again talking about some warped pipe tobaccos today. Sort of the same format that we kicked off a couple weeks ago with the From Beyond discussion with Jeremy Reeves. Luckily we have Shane back in town today. So we're super
Our
excited.
special guest, very hard to get you on video.
Yeah, so everything is...
A lot of people were thrilled.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that are thrilled.
I am disappointed though. I did not see a bowl of only green M&Ms in the green room back there. That was on my
I didn't get a copy of the contract before.
Yeah.
Also, I might have just eaten the M&Ms.
Yeah, that's okay.
It's
That's
possible.
Okay. But yeah, so Warped, I think one of our favorite projects in the last couple years. For the folks who may not know, this is a collaboration between Kyle Gellis, the owner and founder and blender of Warped Cigars, and Jeremy Reeves, our own master blender at Cornell and Diehl. I just say master blender because I know he hates that term.
Yeah.
But he is.
Absolutely is.
This project started with a really interesting collaboration that the two of those guys worked on back in 2018, 2019. I think it started in 2018 and the original release of The Haunting was in 2019. So what I brought today for the consideration of the round table, which is actually like a...
The octagon.
The octagon.
The octagon.
It's actually an octagon table. I brought original release editions of every single one of the Warped blends so far from my personal cellar. So I thought we could... So I thought we could crack into some of these and see how they're coming along. It is first thing in the morning, and we do have an upcoming release, so I have a suggestion of where we start, if everybody is open to that.
Sure, lay it out.
Yeah? All right, let's start with Saint Espresso.
Let's do it.
Can't be mad at that.
This is the original release from 2022. I have not revisited this original release in quite a while, so I'm really curious to see how it's been aging.
Yeah.
Saint Espresso is a really high quality and complex take on an aromatic, and for that, what I mean is that not only was there a lot of care taken into the flavorings themselves, but the base tobaccos here are really sort of a step beyond what you typically find in an
Three
aromatic
different
blend.
Cavendishes.
Yeah, it's sort of a
blend,
triad.
like-
Yes.
Of
Yes.
Cavendish. So we have the Cornell and Diehl's proprietary Carolina Red Virginia Cavendish. We have one sucker Cavendish from Kentucky, which is sort of just burley Cavendish. I think like with specific grades from the one sucker leaf. And then there is sort of this lightly sweet Dominican cigar leaf Cavendish. And they all really play on each other in super interesting ways.
Yes. I also really appreciate, I like Black Cavendish just fine, especially when it's in a blend. It's adding a little bit of body and fullness, carrying the flavor a little bit. But blends that are predominantly Black Cavendish, historically for me, have been a bit more of a struggle, to keep lit and the burning character. You make some sacrifices,
Right?
Just like you make sacrifices when you have a blend that's really high in Latakia, you know. So leaves that have been treated or heated or steamed or stoved or fire cured for a long time tend to be a little more resistant to burning. I think that the way that these Cavendishes have been treated, particularly the cigar leaf one, in terms of performance and burn and everything, this always to me has smoked kind of just like a Virginia mixture or something.
And I think in terms of complexity too, I think if you're looking at a traditional sort of Black Cavendish aromatic, sometimes it's that is what you get, right?
Yeah.
From the charring light all the way down to the dottle.
Absolutely.
It's sort of a universal flavor. But with Saint Espresso, it's I'm getting bright notes of Virginia, I'm getting breadiness.
There's a lot of complexity.
Tobacco, full flavors.
And I mean, if you've watched any of our mystery review videos or any of the other videos where we're messing around doing whatever, overwhelmingly, this is a group of guys that smoke Virginias for leisure and on their on their own time.
And even when I personally smoke aromatics, they're typically not the Black Cavendish based aromatics.
Sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, most of us are also cigar smokers, and very fitting that there's some cigar Cavendish. I think half of his blends Warped have some cigar
something in there, and it's usually a component that's not just straight cigar leaf. It's something interesting. It's particular grades. The Criollo leaf from the Dominican. It's stuff that Kyle uses in his cigar blending. But that's the thing. The idea for the Warped project in general, much like a reflection of the Warped cigar brand, is that they wanted to do something different. They wanted to do something interesting and different and collaborative and sort of push the boundaries of what we think of in terms of traditional pipe tobaccos. And a lot of these blends have achieved that. There's like a lot of little interesting twists in a lot of these. Scarecrow's another example.
Scarecrow's wild.
really interesting.
I did
sort
not
of
think I was
crossover
gonna
aromatic.
Like, yeah, I didn't think I was gonna like it. Like when I smelled it, I was like, "Oh, this is too much. I'm not gonna enjoy this."
Yeah.
but like,
It's very like
Yeah.
kettle corning.
yeah,
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
it
love
performs very well.
It's great.
Actually,
I
so it's
remember
great.
smoking it as a customer here
Yeah.
at Low Country. Me and Tyler sitting at the table over there smoking Scarecrow. I loved it immediately.
Yeah. But on paper, it's not something
Oh,
that you
yeah,
would gravitate
reach
towards.
towards.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I think that's true for all the core line stuff too. Like Red Hunt, really killer Virginia Perique. That's just not. It's got a little bit of an interesting twist on it compared to what we normally see. I also really like Until the End. Sarto's a fantastic English mixture.
Yeah.
King Stride
King
is my-
Stride.
King
King
Stride.
Stride.
Really good.
King Stride is fermented and tangy and punchy and loamy. And
King
it's
Stride,
crazy.
especially for me, we talk about how Perique can be perceived in different ways,
Yes.
in different blends, and in King Stride, it is for me one of the most distinct Perique notes as far as that. I say this as nice as I can. This like barnyardy, almost blue
It's the
cheese.
funk.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
The funk.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
The fermentation and yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
Super good.
All right. Well, in honor of the upcoming
quit being a
re-release,
tease.
yeah.
Tease.
In honor of the upcoming re-release of Saint Espresso, you guys want to open tin number 26 out
Let's
of
do it.
that's ever existed. The
Wow.
26th tin. All right. Let's see.
Yeah, it's been like 20 minutes since I've smoked anything. I'm like going nuts over here.
I had to out a cigar for this.
Warped, exclusively different. Love
I
that.
like it.
Whoa. Made a little bit of a mess here.
I like that reaction.
Yeah.
So it's much deeper than I remember. Like the like sweetness of the tin note. I'm still getting like some of that like mocha-y sort of tin note, but there's also like caramelized
Yeah.
Yeah.
fruits. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's really deep.
It's also like more outside of the topping, earthy tobacco.
Yes.
Yeah,
Like that's some of the age poking through there.
some of that funk, like some of that funk
Some
you were
of that
talking
funk.
about too. That Saint Espresso funk.
Yeah, I'm super excited though. I haven't revisited Saint Espresso in probably a year or two.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Minimum.
it's been a little while for me.
When it first released, I remember how excited
It seems like it
one
has aged well.
customers.
Since it made it down the line, I'll go ahead and start.
for
Yeah,
sure.
do it.
The customer feedback immediately was insanely positive.
Oh yeah.
And I feel like the Warped limited editions tend to get a lot of love in general. People love Scarecrow. People love
Absolutely.
Haunting. And Saint Espresso was really no different. But as
I'm
far
one of
as
those people.
Right. So Steve was around for this also. It kind of became a favorite of the customer service team here at Smoking Pipes.
Yeah.
We smoked Saint Espresso regularly the first couple months after. And I remember there were
I'm
customer
sure the
service
non-smoking
reps.
customer service reps loved
Yes.
it. Yeah.
That's
Even-
the thing. It's like
Much
it has
better
a
than
really
what we
nice
Yeah.
It's a crazy room note.
really nice room now.
Which, like we were talking about sacrifices, unfortunately, a lot of the blends we enjoy, Virginia Periques or Englishes,
Yeah.
there's a sacrifice in that non-smokers aren't
You're
going to
making
like
some
that
kind of
room.
Mixed company isn't a fan.
Yeah.
Where this has all of the complexity of a more traditional pipe tobacco or non-aromatic pipe tobacco with a crazy room note.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think especially too, like we're in the cooler months now. Like there's something super comforting about this and this sort of melange of flavors.
I think it's particularly like sort of festive as well.
Yeah,
it
for
does
sure.
have like a, I don't know.
Like
You could smoke this after like Thanksgiving dinner. And,
oh,
like,
totally. And I was gonna say, I think you can get away with smoking it
And my
inside
mother-in-law
in
wouldn't
places.
hate me.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
Not for what you're smoking.
not for what you're
I
smoking.
actually have an amazing relationship with my
That's
mother-in-law.
awesome. That's awesome. Man.
I have an amazing relationship with your mother-in-law too.
Hey, y'all.
Keep it in.
Keep it.
Yeah, don't edit that out.
Yeah. Pop off, King. man. Yeah, we typically like pack our pipes off camera.
No, I know. I was gonna say some of this can be either sped up
Sped
or
up.
you can do the SpongeBob a few moments later.
I think people want to see.
Title card.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, these guys don't pack pipes.
Do we though?
I think the people want to see, and we definitely want to be ridiculed and criticized for how we're doing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
They don't see how typically on Mystery Reviews, our pipes are already pre-packed by our lovely production team.
Wait, is that a thing? Yeah,
You've been getting your.
We're so late. Me and Andy are always so late.
So
We've
late.
always missed the
yeah, it's never been a thing.
warming of our pipes or whatever you guys do.
Warming. All right, well, it's all warmed up for you.
Man, I'm pumped about this.
I sort of feel like this is one of those. I would like to try this blend in different ways. Like, you know how like with like
Chew it.
Navy mixture, like McBaron
Yeah.
Navy mixture before it was discontinued. Like you could like kind of like stack it in certain ways.
Yeah.
Like you could like pull out some of the Cavendish and then like pull out the Virginias and then sort of like stack it and give it like a really interesting like
Yeah.
cake-like thing.
Yeah.
I wonder like it'd be interesting to kind of do that with
Like a little
this, too.
parfait.
Like a little parfait.
Because I don't know
The
which
macchiato.
Cavendish it is in here, the dark one, that there's some little curlies.
Little
Like,
curlies.
yeah, you could make a good curly Q section of this super dark Cavendish. And yeah.
Even the cold draw is nuts. Dark chocolate, coffee, caramelized sugar, a little fruitiness.
Nice.
I like that we've now started the tradition of throwing things on camera.
Have we? Oh.
Yeah, Alan, when he found out about
Yeah, I threw the
his
bat.
failure in the mystery review,
Oh,
he threw
that's
his bag.
right.
That's right.
His failure, his shame, his great shame.
Yeah, that's my seppuku, my 13th reason, 13th reason
13th
why.
reason why.
Jesus Christ. It's not wrong with a little seppuku every now and then.
Every now and then.
You only can do it once.
Yeah,
You
get
only
one.
get one shot. You need a fucking trigger warning on this video.
Yeah.
I mean, I think charring light, I'm getting like that. Like, you ever just light something and you're like, wow, like that is like, if I could like capture like what like nostalgia of pipe tobacco,
Yeah.
like you're walking, like, or like, you know, you go into your grandfather's study or something and it smells like his pipe tobacco, right?
Yeah.
Like there is sort of that nostalgic sort of like American.
Grandfather.
I was going to say, my grandfather did not have a study.
Yeah, no, mine didn't either. Mine worked on a farm, but I was being aspirational.
I hope to one day have a grandfather that has a study.
I hope to one day have that nostalgia.
Yeah.
I love inside jokes. I'd love to be a part of one day.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, this is very much like, you know, those the aromatic type blends that people would smoke back in the day that have the very traditional, like, oh, that's pipe tobacco scent, and I love it. Yeah, this just kind of gives you that flavor.
Well, I feel like the two most ubiquitous flavors in pipe tobacco, like when you're talking about aromatics, are chocolate and vanilla. And not that first of all, the parallels between chocolate and coffee flavoring and like that kind of stuff. Like, there's a lot going on here. Without like totally divulging what the exact recipe is, it leans towards that side of things.
The chocolate side of things.
The chocolatey, coffee-like.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean,
Some
it's called
roasted almond in there.
Saint Espresso, right?
Right.
And like the whole
Yeah.
inspiration for this blend
They
is
did
like,
not vary the lead.
No.
yeah. Kyle has always been very interested in like artisanal coffee roasting.
He had his own. He had his own
brand.
venture. Yeah.
And also just like the actual art of coffee roasting and like how meticulous and like precise you need to be and like how similar that is to pipe tobacco. So I think that was sort of the inspiration. And so like there is like this sort of like mocha like quality to the smoke. It's like a little bit of coffee, a little bit of espresso. Like it's almost like I'm getting some parts that are like if you were to like slightly sweeten like a ristretto.
Oh yeah. like intensity,
Yeah,
and like a
like
lot
really
of
concentrated.
body and a lot of Man, you know what's crazy? So I happen to have my, I don't know if we talk pipes here, but I happen to have my
should. I think we
my
forgot
Clear
last
and
time.
Clay, my Clear and Clay 1 Canadian, which is one of my favorite tasting pipes. And I'm sort of glad that this is what I went with, because I'm getting a crazy experience in the clay. It is. I always thought that when I was smoking Saint Espresso, especially fresh, I was mostly getting the aromatic qualities of it up front, but the solid base of actual tobacco flavors from that sort of like trifecta of Cavendishes, you know, because you get a lot more of the actual characteristics of the leaf in
Yeah.
Cornell and Diehl's Red Virginia Cavendish. It's not Cavendished to the point of being, black or whatever.
It's toasted.
Yeah, it's toasted. And then the cigar leaf Cavendish too also has a lot of body, a lot of spice, some of that cigar characteristic still coming through. In the clay, first light and the first little bit of the bowl here, I'm getting more natural tobacco flavor than the topping. And I think some of that is the age, like I said.
Because I'm getting some of that over here too. Maybe not as pronounced as what you're getting in the clay, but there's definitely more
tobacco
flavor here, like the earthiness and all that, than I remember from this blend when it was fresh.
100%.
I'm doing like baking goods, like baked goods. There's like a little bit of spiciness to it.
Yeah.
Like there's like a little bit of zing.
And that could be from that cigar leaf Cavendish,
Yeah.
but there's also a boozy quality.
A little
I
bit,
could see that.
And I can't exactly, that's what I was
Kind
trying
of like
to
when you
figure
make
out.
kind of like when you pull an actual shot of espresso, and it has that like almost like somebody threw some rum in this thing.
Yes,
you know what
I was
Yeah.
thinking like this could be an Irish coffee.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe the Saint Espresso was imbibing a little bit. You know?
I mean, I wonder if it's just from like, so we like, it's like what, over 3 years old? That's interesting.
Yeah, this is aged well.
Which is crazy too, because it's also stayed really true to sort of the experience of the blend fresh, and that's kind of what I suspected. It's the same way that I think like there was a lot of talk years ago. I don't even hear too much of it anymore, but a lot of talk about how burley tobaccos don't really age well, and I think that is not entirely true. Maybe it's just false, like straight up. In my experience, they age more slowly than Virginia tobaccos.
Right.
So after 2, 3, 4, yes, from the lack of sugar content, this is the air-cured leaf. It's similar to cigars in many ways. It's also why the peak for cigars that are like, Maduro wrappers or like broadleaf stuff has a higher sugar content. It's been processed, fermented, cooked a little, if you will. That stuff tends to show more change in the short term, and there's a sort of long tail of not changing very much in the long term. Whereas like medium-bodied cigars, light Virginia tobaccos change drastically over over a medium period and continue to change. Like smoking some burleys, like dude, that Tid at Edgeworth from a couple years ago, that's from like the early '90s.
Yeah.
Like crazy.
Yep.
But it took a while to get to a point where it was noticeably richer and more molasses coming through and stuff like that.
Yep.
I think this, as an aromatic, has such long legs because after 3 years, there's a noticeable change in the maturity of the leaf, but the flavoring is still complementary. They're not at odds with each other. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I think the like Red Virginia Cavendish is helping with that because like it is like there is still a lot of sugar, like in that leaf specifically.
Well, yeah. When you start out with a leaf that's higher in sugar content than your typical
it's
like
gonna
air-cured
age faster.
Cavendish, yeah.
But it's really nice. It's very mellow. I feel like the flavors are more married than they were fresh, but I'm still tasting like individual tobacco components, and like I'm kind of picking up on like the spiciness from the Dominican cigar leaf. I'm still getting like a bready sweetness from the Red Virginias. What's surprising to me is like it's not as sweet as I expected it to be.
Yep.
And I'm kind of more just still mind blown at the spice. I don't recall the spice level.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things in your mind is like, is this a change or is this something that just because I haven't revisited it in so long I don't remember?
I mean, I do think the age here is playing a significant role.
I kind of have my own like preconceived biases about like aromatics not aging particularly well. Like I'm rethinking my entire life here. Because, yeah, it has been a little while since I've smoked it, but I don't think this is just revisiting it and having a different experience. I think this is definitely age.
I think aromatics can age very well.
It all depends on the base components.
Yeah, I mean, like I wouldn't like Virginia's. You could smoke a 50-year-old 10.
Yeah.
Like I feel like if an aromatic might not have that long of legs.
Sure.
But like a couple of years on aromatic could change the game completely.
Oh, absolutely. And the other thing too, and this I am attributing this to the age a little bit too, because it's not like a loss of moisture, but we all packed straight out of the tin and lit up right away.
Yeah.
And
it's smoking
it's
great
burning.
for me.
It's
burning great. Yeah, exactly. And I think that does. I've experienced that with other types of tobaccos that I did feel like fresh had a moisture content where I would bring it down a little bit before I would smoke it. But after 10 years in the tin or whatever, pull it right out of the tin and you're ready to go right away.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the melding of everything or what, because you're not technically losing moisture probably.
Yeah, I don't think you can with the sitting D10.
Yeah. But they do perform differently after marrying for so long.
Shouldn't nut.
What's
crazy.
really interesting to me about the entire portfolio, really, of Warped type tobaccos is just how well they serve as like bridge, like a bridge between
Genres.
Yeah, like both within the pipe tobacco realms
And the cigar.
and the
type
cigar
roast.
and
Yeah.
pipes. Like,
Yeah.
like I think it's really interesting. Like if you're a fan of like something like Stillwell Star, right? This is gonna be like an awesome experience.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like it's not overly sweet. It's not cloyingly sweet, right? Like you're still getting a lot of tobacco flavors. You're still getting like a lot of spice, but there is that like really nice mocha.
If I can, Andy,
Yeah.
I think what you might be getting at, or at least I'm pretty sure we're on the same page here. Jeremy and Kyle have managed to make a bunch of blends that are simultaneously noticeably unique within the world of smoking and approachable,
Yeah.
and
That's a
like
really
sort
good
of
way-
universally appreciated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's crazy. It's crazy to take such a different approach to blending tobaccos and still come up with something that's not really niche.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That has a broad appeal. And like they've just like kind of struck gold over and over again in that regard.
I think probably the best example of that to me is like Scarecrow. Like you smell that blend and like just read about what it is. I thought that was going to be a very polarizing blend. I thought a lot of people would like, trash it a little bit as being like, preconceived like aromatic or whatever, like being too sweet. I love it. Everybody that I have ever heard that smoked it, loved it. It is hugely popular. Like it is an absolute banger of a blend despite being completely unique and kind of weird.
A little bit of a risk too in this
Yeah,
current market.
yeah.
Like most
Yeah.
of the stuff that everybody gets hyped up about is like Virginia Paraigs, some interesting English mixtures. Like that's the trend that's been going for the last 10, 12, 15 years maybe.
Yeah.
Whereas before that we were coming out of a period where all your confirmed pipe smokers were smoking Latakia stuff.
Right.
And they've taken some risks in this line, and yeah, the sort of acclaim and the universal appeal is remarkable. Like anecdotally, I think everybody here has had this experience. A lot of dudes that I know and a lot of guys that I'm close with in the community that are hardcore Virginia smokers, vintage tobacco lovers, whatever, went deep in the cellar on Saint Espresso,
Yep.
deep in the cellar on Scarecrow.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And it's like, again, if you told me as a consumer 15 years ago that like this blend was going to exist and I'd be all about it, like there's zero, I would have been turning my nose up at it,
Right.
super snobby, you know, like
absolutely.
whatever.
Yeah.
And it's crazy how good it is. Creamy.
Very
I'm
creamy.
definitely
Very,
getting
very
more
creamy.
vanilla and caramel type vibes.
Yeah.
Not overt like flavoring, but like that kind of a vibe. It's like that sort of barrel character that you get from a lot of spirits.
Birch sugar.
Burnt sugar.
Burnt sugar's really
Burnt
good.
sugar's great.
I'm getting like toasted almond.
Yes.
Yeah.
God, man.
You sure it's almonds? Me more
Not
walnuts.
anymore.
They're really bad for the environment.
I was until you said something.
Almonds
I
are-
did, okay. I told Jeremy Reeves one time that almond was my favorite nut.
And he was like,
And he was like,
you're a bad
he
person.
berated
Yeah,
you.
and he was like, "Let me tell you about the almond industry." And I was like, "Oh my god!" I thought I was like a better person for drinking almond milk, and then now I'm
you're a
like,
much
actually,
worse
no,
person.
I'm actually
Yeah.
doing things way worse.
Yep.
Yeah.
You are figuratively and literally a worse person by drinking almond milk.
Yeah, I mean, I've learned this lesson.
Thanks to Jeremy Reeves.
Also, that lactose intolerance doesn't exist. You're just not drinking enough milk.
Yeah.
Like if you drink enough whole milk,
You'll just power through.
you just
Yeah,
power through.
you know, yeah. Gluten intolerance, like what's that? You know,
What's gluten?
Yeah,
You know, nobody
What
cared
nut
about
is
gluten
that?
until
What
we
is it
started
talking
talking
about? Gluten milk?
gluten milk.
What do they squeeze to make gluten milk? Glutes.
No.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, this is crazy. It's got so much body.
Yeah.
Like, it's so dense
very
on the
deep.
palate. It's got
Like the
so
mouth
much body.
feels really silky, velvety, which are two different textures, which I realize makes no sense, but
silky and velvety.
it's like a two-sided duvet.
It's like a silk Brillo pad.
Yeah. One thing I did want to point out about Saint Espresso specifically, though, you mentioned earlier just how well it burns,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's really important, particularly for cigar smokers who are just getting into pipe tobacco. Like if you,
It's forgiving of
it's
technique.
super.
It's
forgiving.
very forgiving of technique.
It's super forgiving, and I think that's also true for like most, like almost all of the warped blends. I can't really think of one that like takes a whole lot of finesse.
Yeah, not really. Not
Yeah,
really.
I mean maybe Sarto, but like
Yeah.
that's only because like I have to really take my time with English blends to like
Sure.
taste more than
Sure.
Latakia, you know.
But yeah,
but
the hunting. We also neglected to mention earlier that the hunting was originally designed to also be a crossover.
To be a
between cigar
crossover,
and pipe
yeah.
smoking, and again, it's also super approachable. Like a lot of broad appeal there, and also very forgiving.
Yeah.
We touched on this when we had the recent mystery review for the haunting. Yeah,
Spoiler
we-
alert.
It's already came out. It's good. When I had dabbled in pipes prior, and the haunting was kind of as a cigar smoker, the first pipe blend that I was like, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
Like I understand why people smoke a pipe. So yeah, that if that being blended as a crossover blend, it quite literally crossed me over into the world
It
of
did the
pipes.
job.
Yeah, it worked. Good job, Kyle and Jeremy.
But yeah, and Saint Espresso, you've got the crossover between cigar smoking and pipe smoking there. You've also got the crossover between those of us who tend to prefer Englishes or Virginias to aromatics. And again, like, I really just don't see how, unless you don't like the flavor of coffee, I can't see how anybody would smoke this and be like, not for me.
Unless you're
It's-
just the worst person on earth.
unless you're an almond drinker. But yeah, really, really great. It's yet another slam dunk in all of the sort of limited editions that Jeremy and Kyle have blended together. It is about to be available again, which I am excited about because
Yep.
you know I'm 110 down in the cellar. That won't do. Should
Gotta
got to
fix
replace
that.
it with 5. That's
Yeah,
the rule.
yeah.
One down,
One
5
down,
up.
5
Yep.
in, yeah.
Mhm. Oh, what pipes are you guys smoking?
I'm smoking little jaunty bulldog from
I
Ichabod.
love
I like
that.
that.
That pipe is
Yeah.
sick.
Isn't that
Yeah.
good pipe? Thank you.
Mhm.
Really
Yeah.
appreciate it.
God, his stem work is like the
Isn't it
dopest.
awesome?
Yeah.
And even the way that Abe turns horn is so unique.
super cool.
Like
I like the little trumpet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
it's super cool and recognizably Abe. In a style that you could pinpoint that old school Danish style to a few artisan makers currently, but recognizably Abe.
He's my favorite lens, modern lens, at the moment of like the early days of the
Yeah.
Danish
Yep.
shaping.
100%.
Like that's more like a late '60s, early '70s
Isn't it?
Danish
Yeah.
influence, and yeah, it's
I used to like. I've never really gravitated towards like bulldogs or Rhodesians, right? Like,
'Cause
but
you're
I have
strong.
I have two 8-hairball bulldogs,
Nice.
They're awesome.
Nice.
and then this Rhodesian. So it's really cool. I like the little jaunty foot. It reminds me of like some like old pipe dance shapes.
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
what I mean?
definitely.
Super
Like,
cool.
super
Yeah, it's
cool.
very old school, like Sixton Mickey.
Yeah.
I'm smoking something not quite as cool as that, but
pretty cool.
but pretty
I think
cool.
it's pretty cool.
Little C141 Briarworks.
C141S.
Yeah.
Slick.
Yeah, that's
For
just for
slick.
slick.
For
That's
slick.
pretty slick.
Yeah, I love this pipe. It's kind of one of my workhorses, my driving pipes. And yeah, I love this little guy.
Nice little pipe. I got my Micah Redmond sandblasted baby volcano.
Also known as the Molehill.
The molehill. Yeah. I'll make a mountain out of it. Yeah. Yeah. I just picked this thing up, like 2-3 weeks ago, and I've already smoked it like 10 times. I love this pipe.
So cool.
That was one of your Vegas acquisitions. Yeah.
The grain's crazy on that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that.
Like so much flame, and like I love the contrast blast. It's really,
Also, scaling down a shape like that is
it's
wild.
really, it's really clever. It's really clever.
Yeah, Steve's 2 Vegas pickups were both silly and small volcanoes. I've never been like more happy to see someone else buy pipes.
I just bought them to make you jealous.
Yeah.
And so that you couldn't have them.
Yeah, I go over the one he bought from Pete. I go over to like buy it from Pete, and he goes, "Man, Steve just bought that from me like 5 minutes ago."
You really need to act faster.
Yeah.
Don't hesitate at the pipe
Don't
show.
hesitate to pipe
true.
show.
That's right.
That's
I
a
meant-
great tip. That's like pipe show 101.
That is.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Don't
If you got the feels for something, just do it.
Yeah.
Don't be like, I'll come back.
Yeah, I've made that mistake too many times.
It won't be there.
I mentioned earlier, but I'm smoking a Clarin Canadian 1.
Those are so cool.
The best clay pipe I've ever used.
so cool.
And the shape is amazing, and they're perfect tasting pipes.
So we at pipe shows, we normally have Clarins laid out where we check out, and customers are so intrigued by it. And one of my favorite things to tell them is that pipe makers specifically have really taken a liking to those. Speaking of Pete Prevost again, Pete bought multiple at Muletown this year.
Shalosky.
Yeah.
When I was smoking this around Tom Eltang when I first got the prototype, before we started carrying them, and he was like, "Whoa."
Yeah.
Like the shape is just
yeah.
insane, and the quality of the production is a very high level compared to most old school molded clay stuff.
Yeah,
They
that's
color
high
up
praise
crazy
coming from
too.
Tom.
I've talked with Greg Pease about them a lot too. He really thinks they're awesome.
Oh, they're
Yeah,
great.
They're super.
They're
cool.
super cool. I have every shape, I'm pretty sure, but this is the one I just happened to grab, and I love a Canadian in general, and it's like
How do you feel about the mouthpiece or like the lack thereof? Or
doesn't bother
It
me
doesn't
at all.
bother you at all.
No, I wouldn't drive with this pipe. I wouldn't
Yeah, or
mow the
clench,
lawn.
you know what I
or-
mean?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm a lip clencher. I don't know if that's
Yeah.
like a real thing, but like I kind of.
I think that's how you're supposed to do it.
Yeah, I do that too.
I don't do it.
That's how you're supposed
No,
to do it.
I'm a
don't.
twofer.
I don't do that. I'm a twofer.
Yeah, I
Like,
mean, I do clench my vulcanite and acrylic and whatever mouthpieces in the teeth on occasion, especially if it's a nice light pipe. But if I'm just like smoking and then
Yeah.
fiddling with shit, I just use my.
I'm a
I
lip
just
clencher.
use my lips.
I'm a lip clencher and a tooth hanger.
Yeah,
Like
there you
I'll
go.
like hang it on the inside of my tooth.
Yeah,
Uh,
and an almond milk drinker.
Yeah. No, none of that crap. None of that.
This does feel like the Joker song, like what I mean. And the Joker.
Oh, I'm a lip clencher.
I'm a lip
I'm
clencher.
a tooth hanger.
You too.
I'm an almond milk drinker.
Copyright strike.
Right.
Steve Miller's coming for it.
Get my gluten on the run. I could keep going, but I won't.
Get my glue squeeze.
But yeah, thank you to Jeremy and Kyle for daring to be exclusively different and continuing to put out products that sort of challenge all of our preconceived notions and challenge all of us cigar and pipe smokers in whatever ratio we are to continue to explore and have some fun and experience some experiences and flavors that don't exist elsewhere.
And thank you for making some great blends.
Yep.
Thanks, everybody. See you next time.
Thanks so much for watching.
Thanks, guys.
Octagon out.
Octagon.